Reach into your wallet, count all the money you have in your hand. I'll get back to you because it's all about the continued stunning failure of this government to deal with the terrorist killers. The president has to go begging about his trade deal. What is a bad idea, though, is shutting down Midtown Manhattan on a Saturday for Hillary's latest ploy to make you forget she's a Clinton. And when we get down to those issues and stories, we mustn't forget what's happening to one group of people in the Middle East demands your attention. Stay with us. Stick to the attention. I'm Ed Berliner. This is The Hard Line.
We're talking about a piece of legislation that the last time it was voted on got the unanimous support of Democrats. There are a substantial number of Republicans that voted for it today. I certainly wouldn't rule out the ability of the Speaker of the House to convince even more Republicans to vote for trade adjustment assistance. We certainly believe that we can convince more Democrats.
There'll be ample chance to show the differences between myself and Hillary Clinton. She has a record. It's a record that will be scrutinized. I have views that I will be able to express. I think there'll be clear differences.
We've seen the letter which was submitted by the DPRK to the United Nations. The allegations are ridiculous. They don't merit a response other than to say we've been clear, as has the Department of Defense, about the circumstances that led to this inadvertent shipment.
There is a global epidemic of violence against women, both within conflict zones and within societies at peace. And it is still treated as a lesser crime and a lower priority.
The president and his team are confident that for now, 450 troops are additional military personnel are what is necessary to fulfill this expanded advise and assist and training mission to Kadam Air Base.
ISIS is winning. Iran continues to feed terror across the Middle East. The Obama administration, honestly, has very little idea how to attack this enemy. And now we're looking at the possibility of American bases and more American troops in the Middle East as what some will no doubt consider an occupying force. We are more than knee-deep and at the moment drowning. Here comes the man with a life preserver. Welcome back, Senior Fellow at the London Center for Policy Research with an intel ear always to the ground, former U.S. Army Lieutenant Colonel Tony Shaffer. Tony, it's a pleasure to see you again because we have so much to get to here and it's not good. 450 more American troops going over there to basically train the Iraqis to fight those who are looking to fight ISIS. Tony, is this not just a pebble in the ocean?
This is worse, Ed. This is actually, I think, a propaganda victory for ISIS. Now, think about this. They just took Ramadi. They've made a big deal about their victory. On our side, there's been all these recriminations. And so our answer, we'll send 450 troops to do what we've done already, which hasn't worked. So what the heck? So I see this as actually a net negative. It's beyond being a zero, because if it was a zero would be basically saying, hey, we've got to rethink everything we're doing because we got to really shore up the house. In this case, it's kind of like, yeah, the house is collapsing, but we'll just add a little super glue here on the decorative piece of the glass as the rest of the house slides into the abyss. This is how stupid it is. And I think this is where, I love the word confident. The president's team is confident. Well, they're confident perhaps if they're completely detached from the reality in which we live.
What could they possibly be confident in, Tony? Seriously, this is 450 troops. You say they're going to go there to train. You haven't done, the training hasn't worked to this point. 450 will make no difference.
Right. And let's break that down. Why is it not working? Why has it not worked? Why will this not work? Well, for two reasons. First, the Iraqi army that exists today was designed to protect a country that existed in 2011 and 2010. That country no longer exists. There's no longer a federated Baghdad, a federated country. It's gone. And so the central premise of the White House policy is we want to keep Iraq together. Gentlemen, it's gone. It's done. Get over it. So the very army that now is trying to protect this federation is split internally. You have the Sunni elements and the Shia elements. The Shia elements are those who are distrusted by the Sunni because the Sunni felt that they were being essentially put upon and ignored under the Maliki government, under the prior government. And now with the current government, the Sunni aren't anymore kind of on board because they now see Baghdad being controlled by Iran, which is Shia. So you're not going to fix the fundamental sectarian conflicts that now exists within the Iraqi army by simply sending 450 more troops to help train them. It's not the training, it's not our ability to train, it's the fact that the Iraqi army no longer exists as an entity, which we left back about 3 years ago.
Tony, the U.S. has so far spent nearly $3 billion on airstrikes.
Yep.
That's $9 million a day targeting ISIS in Iraq and Syria. Is it fair to say that what we have to show for it is a slightly debilitated ISIS, but we also have rubble everywhere, cities destroyed, and at the end of the day, we are no closer to winning this battle? This is wasted money.
Well, let's look at the facts. First, ISIS now controls over half of Syria. That's not a win. ISIS has been, we've retaken one city, Tikrit, from ISIS, yet they've gained other cities. So that's a net loss continuing. And also, let's look at globally. We're talking about ISIS now essentially in a power struggle with the Taliban in Afghanistan, trying to gain control of the illegal drug trade for purposes of a profit center, as well as the traditional smugglers' routes in the north and the economic boom coming in from the Chinese regarding the minerals. So ISIS is now truly a global threat. So again, that's not a win. So when you look at what we're doing and what we're spending money on, it's completely insane. And one last thing your audience will be probably familiar with is Ramadi. There was an opportunity there when ISIS lined its trucks up in the middle of broad daylight. For a mile, you could see ISIS trucks. Where were the A-10 tank killers coming in, strafing run after strafing run, making sure that victory was Pyrrhic at best, not to be seen. So I honestly, and I've heard stories, Ed, real quick, about our aircraft coming back with munitions still on them because they didn't drop them. So these 7 sorties a day are really probably 2 or 3. And with that said, it's being wasted by the fact we don't have a focused, cohesive strategy.
I hear Joint Chiefs Chairman General Martin Dempsey talking about lily pad operations to encourage the Iraqi security force moving forward. Tony, come on. Let's stop with the bovine excrement here for a moment. Can we please? This talks to permanent bases, permanent men on the ground. This talks to an occupying force. I feel sorry in many ways for Martin Dempsey because it seems as if he is just part of the propaganda machine, and I would almost be willing to bet that in the back of the mind, he knows that he is just a mouthpiece at this point.
I believe he is, and General Dempsey's on his way out. General Joe Dunford has been designated as next chairman of the Joint Chiefs. I think his hearings are this month. I'd like to believe that General Dunford will bring a change. General Dunford will have to assess the situation as it is.
How can he bring a change, though, when the president doesn't listen to anybody to this point?
That's going to be an interesting issue because the fact is this: General Dempsey, I think, has not been as honest or as direct with the president about these issues. This lily pad thing, this was floated last year. It's totally insane. It's not going to work. I think there are alternatives. I think one of them we've talked about here on the show before. We need to find a way to empower our regional allies. First, the Peshmerga. They just won some battles against ISIS. They're the only ones winning against ISIS up near Mosul. Well, for goodness sake, why aren't we arming them to the teeth, giving them clearer missions and giving them more support? Secondly, and I've talked to members of the Egyptian military. The Egyptian military would be willing to do a lot more with the Jordanians. And frankly, they should be our boots on the ground. They are Shia. The folks in the western part of Iraq who don't trust Baghdad are Shia. I'm sorry, Sunni. Sunni. They're both Sunni. Let's put the Sunni together to work together to bring success. And then, we've got to find a counter to the Shia influence, to Iran. And by doing essentially a NATO type organization with our Arab allies, the Sunni, you're creating a logical counterbalance to the Iranians, which is something we have not done well as well. But there are other options. There's things that need to be discussed, and there needs to be a larger regional strategy that includes the regional defeat of ISIS, not simply trying to figure out how we can put 450 troops into harm's way and hope for the best.
Tony, I only got 20 seconds left. You mentioned General Martin Dempsey and what you think he is up to here. Do you think that he actually wants to win, or he's just telling the president what he knows the president wants to hear?
It's more complicated than that. You have General Austin, who's commander of Central Command, actually down in Tampa, who's actually leading into this as well. To be honest, to be blunt, I think it's time for General Austin and General Dempsey to go.
And I don't think, and to be very honest too, and to be blunt, I don't know if that's going to make any difference because we go back to how the Syria campaign began. We are still dealing with a president that hears what he wants to hear and doesn't seem to hear what the military experts are telling him, such as yourself. Lieutenant Colonel Tony Shaffer, it is always a pleasure to have you on the show, my friend. Thanks so much. Keep up the good work. Talk to you soon.
Thank you, Ed. Thanks.
All right, buddy. Take care. Think about it this way. The president only hears what he wants to hear. What you're going to hear next is the political animal. Stay with us. The fastest 60 minutes of news, The Hardline, continues.